Welcome to the Custom Tackle Podcast, presented by Custom Tackle Authority and LIVEwell Nation. Each week, we dive into the world of custom fishing tackle and the people behind it, from the innovative bait makers, lure painters, to passionate anglers and fishing creators. So join us as we explore the craftsmanship, stories, techniques, and culture driving the custom tackle forward. Custom tackle community forward. There we go. This is the Custom Tackle Podcast. So, before we get started, I want to introduce everybody on the panel. I'm Sean from Custom Tackle Authority. Dish Pickle Rick is one of the rising creators in the TikTok fishing community, and strong voice. He's also a pro staffer for the LIVEwell Nation. And then behind the scenes, we have Joe in the LIVEwell Nation box. He's going to be moderating for us tonight and collecting audience questions for the Q&A segment later. He is also my co-founder in LIVEwell Nation, so you'll hear a lot more from us as the weeks go on. So we got a great conversation lined up. Let's get into it. Today we're sitting down with the man behind Enlisted 7 Custom Baits. He's a veteran lure builder. He creates custom hard baits, topwaters, jigs, and for freshwater anglers. If you spent time in the TikTok custom tackle world, you've probably seen him around. Chances are you've seen him painting baits live or tying a jig or tying those buzz baits that I need one of, by the way. He's also one of the OG members of the Custom Tackle Syndicate, so you need to check those guys out. It's a great group. And so, Matt, glad to have you on, man.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on today. Appreciate it.
So, before we get into the tackle side, who is Matt outside of Enlisted 7?
Oh, you got to shoot right off with the tough questions right off the rip.
They're just a little personal, no big deal.
Yeah. Digging in there a little bit. Let's see, who am I? Well, I am a 23-year veteran of the armed forces. I'm retired, and to fill the time, I guess you could say, I picked up making baits. And I was making the baits, say like 2 years before I even retired, right? So I was out doing a lot of fishing, and with coming with fishing, you lose a lot of baits, and those things can get expensive. So I thought to myself, well, what if I start making my own stuff? Maybe I could save some money. And I did, and it just took off from there. It just, like, I was kind of surprised on how many people were like, "Oh, you make custom baits?" I'm like, "Yeah." So, but that's a little bit about me.
And you also coach archery, correct? You going to nationals or something?
I do. I am an archery coach. I am basic archery instructor certified. I am a coach for one of the middle schools here in my area. And we participated in state back in April or this month, or it might have been March. I think it was March. And now they qualified for nationals. So we got nationals coming up this month in a few days. And, if any of them shoot really well, then they're going to be going, over to Worlds. And that's going to be down in Florida. But I'm not going to Worlds because that's a long drive.
Yeah. There's a lot of good fishing down in Florida, though. I might know a guy down there. I might know a couple guys down there that might be able to hook you up.
Okeechobee's on my bucket list.
Hey, you could always just say you're going to Worlds and then go fishing.
Yeah. There you go.
That's a true statement. That's a very true statement.
So, what does fishing mean to you personally?
Man.
Oh yeah, making it easy.
Yeah, making it easy, guys. Wow.
I don't want to scratch the surface here. I want to dig in. I want to get to know these guys.
Yeah. To me, fishing it's a community. it's just being able to talk to somebody and pick their brain about a technique or how they did for the day, stuff like that. And it's just amazing to not have to worry about anything else that's going on in the world, and you're just focused on fishing. Because fishing to me it's an outlet. It's like it just clears your mind. Like I could literally sit on the boat if it is a beautiful sunrise, and I will watch the sunrise, or I'll watch wildlife on the shoreline other than fish. You know what I'm saying? So it's just peaceful.
Yeah.
It's just peaceful until you get that one guy that wants to like rip on in there, and you're just like, bro.
Yeah, we've all been there. But that's actually the reason that I do not want live scope on my boat, because I enjoy watching all that and seeing all that just as much as well, not just as much, but that's a big part of why I go. So are you someone that when you fish, are you fishing to compete? Are you fishing to escape, relax, or obsess like I do?
Oh man, a little bit of all of them.
Little bit of all of them. Yeah, depends on the day.
So I mean, I haven't really been able to do any of the competitive fishing here lately.
It's okay. Just get a bubble scale or bow scale, and then you can compete against anybody.
I might, but no. I mean, when I'm out there fishing, I'm out there to kind of like challenge myself, because you always want to. I find it a challenge to always figure out what it is they're biting on. Because one day, the day before that, they could be biting on this type of bait, and you go back out there the next morning and they're shut off. It's like, okay, now we're playing this game again.
Yeah.
I just
like
find
they
it challenging.
all decided to leave at one time.
Yeah, but it's a challenge, It's just like, how can I put fish in the boat? What do I need to do? What bait do I need to do it with? But the thing with it is, if you're not having fun doing it, you might want to find another hobby, because
it's finding fun in the frustration.
Yeah,
if you can have fun going out and getting skunked, then you're in the right spot.
Yeah.
So before you started building baits, what kind of angler were you? Were you always a bass fisherman? Did you go more for panfish, or did you start building hard baits because that's what you fished all the time, or what did you do before you started building baits?
Okay. So before I started baits, so being that I grew up, I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. I would always go after like the bigger game fish, like muskie and pike. And then whenever trout season opened up, it was trout. So I wasn't really into bass. Like I didn't know much about bass. I didn't know how to fish for them. I didn't know nothing. I knew the other game fish, especially not being so far from the Susquehanna River. There's monstrous muskie and pike in there, and good fishing in that river. It wasn't until I got a little older, and I think when I joined the military, and I was stationed at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and that, if anybody's ever there, I mean, that's like outdoorsman paradise.
Yeah, that's a mecca for all things outdoors.
Yeah, that is a mecca for all things outdoors. And when I was there the first time is when I got into bass fishing. Had no idea what I was doing. I tried hard baits, and I had a lot of success with hard baits. And then somebody introduced me into plastics. I was terrified of plastics. I had no idea what I was doing. Not a clue. I'm like, what do I do with this? I'm so used to, casting it out there and reeling it back in. And they're like, no, man, you got to do this and this. And I'm like, all right, like, give me a minute to figure this out. So I was terrified of plastics. But once I got the hang of them, I throw plastics a lot. but continuing on, I'd say it was when I was in Texas. So when I got into the Fort Hood area, and I met up with another gentleman that bass fished. He taught me a lot. I mean, he taught me more than I should be able to contain, you know. So, and he got me into the tournament fishing realm, and he taught me different techniques with different types of baits, with spinners, with chatters, with Carolina rigs, Texas rigs. I mean, he taught me everything he knows, and I just kind of like use those as building blocks to where I am today, right? Because once I started to figure out the baits and how to use them, it was now, when do I use them? Where do I throw them? And how should I retrieve it? You know, because there's different retrieves for everything.
Right. Yeah, I think we all have that Yoda. That
yes.
I mean, a lot of times that's our dads or a guy that you know, just
there's mine.
You know, a tournament partner, somebody that kind of takes you in and shows you what they know, and that's really what drives the fishing community forward. I mean, it doesn't take much of a push to get a lot of people into this, but once they do,
yep,
more often than not, they dive in head first. So
one hook set can change a life in this sport.
It can.
For sure.
It just takes one day to go out and just absolutely wail on them, and you're chasing that for the rest of your life.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, do you remember your first ever confidence bait? Like the one bait that you could pick up and you were just absolutely positive you were going to catch a fish on?
Or is it still your confidence bait? It could still be your first and only confidence bait. We don't know.
Oh, man. Square bill. Square bill.
Any certain square bill or just a square bill in general?
Well, now it's my square bills. But,
right.
But before, it was it was like the KVDs.
Yeah. Those, I mean, like color. Like,
color?
Any certain color that you went for, or was it just
red
like
crawl.
Red crawl?
Red crawl.
All right. Yeah. I fish that a lot in the springtime. I love a good red crankbait in the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
So, at what point did you decide? And I think we went over this a little bit, but kind of dig into it a little deeper. At what point did you decide that you were going to go into the creator side? Like, you were fishing, you were having fun, and you were like, you know what? I'm going to do this now.
When I went to one of the big box stores and I was looking for a plop bait, and I saw the price. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, those were crazy when they first came out.
They were insane. And I'm just like thinking to myself, like, if I lose that, if I like yeet that somewhere and the line snaps, which has happened, I'm out that much money.
Yeah.
I know a guy who's cut somebody else's line with something very expensive.
I know, but funny story specifically about a plopper bait. We have a friend, the guy that was out with us the other day on our live. He bought a plopper bait when they first came out. It was like $25. We had a week trip planned to Cedar Creek, and we went out super early in the morning. It was dark. We got to our spot, and his very first cast with that, he casted, I don't even know how far in it. He thought we were way further away from the bank. And he casted, and it had to hit 100 limbs on the way in. I mean, it just like, it's still in there somewhere. I don't know. And he was so devastated. He never even got to throw it.
Never touched the water.
Never touched the water. It's hanging in a tree. Very first time. So, for you, now that you're making baits and also fishing, what's more exciting for you, actually fishing or watching somebody else catch a fish on a bait that you created?
Somebody catching a bait or catching a fish on a bait that I made. I mean, there's nothing more satisfying than watching that, right? it's all fun and well, when I'm making a bait and I'm like I'm trying to piece it together and kind of come up with different schemes and something that I think somebody would like to throw. That's great, right? But when I saw you on your live, I think when you were down at Kentucky Lake and you were throwing that lipless I made you, you didn't catch anything on it.
Yeah,
right?
Not yet. I will.
Not yet.
I only caught 2 or 3 on a lipless period, so.
Right, but it's just satisfying to watch somebody using a bait you created, and it even though you didn't catch anything, it was still satisfying to watch it happen, because there's only 2 baits out there that look like that, and
right.
You own it,
right? So, and as an angler, it is also comforting or reassuring to know that nobody else on the lake is throwing this.
It's a little bit different level of confidence.
Yeah, it just ups your confidence level just a little bit more when you're throwing something that somebody has painted that you cannot buy off the shelf.
Right.
And that's what I love about fishing custom baits, because you get a lot of that. Even in the soft plastic realm, they're a little bit softer, a little bit harder, or they, the sink rate's different, or the colors are different, or something. It's just different than what people can buy off the shelf, and that just ups that confidence level just a little bit more.
Right.
And I'm a big believer that confidence is key when you're fishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you have to have confidence in what you're throwing, and the more confidence you have, the better you'll fish it without even knowing it. Like, the more chance you'll give it, the longer you'll throw it, and a lot of times I think that's what ultimately.
The more effort you'll give the action, you're gonna work that bait a lot different than a bait you just don't really care much about.
Right. Yeah. You just pick it up off the shelf, or get it out of a clearance bin or whatever. Or
somebody else tells you to throw it and you have no idea what you're doing.
So, what's harder for you? Actually building a good bait, or being confident in yourself that it's a good bait, you think?
It's being confident in myself to do a good bait, because when you're painting a bait, you're the first one that's seeing this bait, unless you're doing it on a live. But you're going to be the first one that's seeing this bait. So whenever I'm doing something like that, I always worry, is somebody going to like this? Is somebody going to appreciate this bait as much as what I do? Is somebody going to look at this bait and be like, oh, I can get a better version of that bait off the shelf over at the store, or I can get it from somebody else that makes baits that, you always have that what if in the back of your mind. And to me, it just makes me push harder and try to open up different, I guess you could say, different ways of making a bait. And that's one of the things I try to set myself apart from. So I want to make a bait that I have confidence in, that I know that if I put that out on a table and put a tag on it, somebody will take that, right? And there is a color scheme that I do, and I pulled it out of the box. Like, I didn't even put it in the package yet, right? So I just pulled it out of the box because I had ended up taking it off the spinner because I had it clear coating, and I put it in a box. And I took it with me, and it was a dual set. So it was a lipless and it was a square bill. And I pulled them both out. And this gentleman, he stopped like mid walk, saw me pull these things out, turned, looked at me and said, "Mine, mine. I want them now." I'm like, all right.
Sure, they're yours, buddy.
Yeah. So, when stuff like that happens, it makes you feel good as a bait maker. And, I know that individual is going to be like, hey, I know this guy that does this, and he's local, or this, that, the other thing. So it does kind of make me feel good when stuff like that happens. Yep.
Okay. Was there a moment where when you first started getting into it, when you realized I'm actually pretty decent at this?
Yes, there was.
Because I mean, everybody's when you start out. I mean, everybody's bad. I mean, unless you're Picasso, I'm sure.
Yeah, the bait that turned the corner. Like, hold on, I may have a little talent around with this thing.
I'm trying to think of which bait it was. The bait that turned the corner. It might have been a plop bait that I did. Okay, so I did one and it was in a sexy shad pattern. It had all the scales and all this other stuff to it, and it just was amazing. And I posted it on one of my other, my other social media page, and so many people dropped comments on it. Like, wow, that's amazing. That looks sweet. I would throw that all day, every day, comments like that. And then I dropped it in a group that I follow and was getting a lot of reactions over this bait. And I was like, all right, I'm onto something. I'm really onto something, because before that I was tying. I was doing jigs and stuff like that. So I wasn't really well versed in the airbrush. I'd look at the airbrush and be like, I'm not as good as those people that do like shirts, like how do I do this? And it took me some time. I mean, it took me maybe 3 months to really understand what I was doing with the airbrush. And then that right there, I think that one was my breakthrough bait. And then just off from there it went.
Awesome. So we've all seen these baits that are made to catch fishermen more than fish. You got the banjo minnows, the flying lures, all these, gimmick baits. So what, as a maker, what in your mind separates a bait that is made to catch fish versus a bait that's made to catch fishermen?
Say a bait that's made to catch fish is something that you're going to see on the shelf at a store. The same patterns over and over and over again, right? The baits that are made to catch a fisherman are the ones that have thought put into it, have the time and energy put into a bait that's going to catch that fisherman. Like, I've made some baits that have caught some people's eyes. So I think that's what it is. So if I answered that correctly, I hope I did. Bring your one out with it, but yeah.
Well, it's a different angle than I was going for, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, good answer. Good answer. So what's something that the casual angler, somebody that you meet at the bank of a local park pond, might not understand about custom tackle?
What I don't think they understand is the thought process of, well, this is a major company bait and this is your bait. You're not that company. You know what I mean? So it's like, is your bait going to be quality? Is it going to last? Is all this other stuff? So I've run into a couple people on the shoreline, and I always have like some of my baits in my box on the boat that if I run into somebody, I'll throw them a free bait. And I've had compliments from some of my stuff that, they've used while they were out there. But I think a lot of people are scared to venture into purchasing from a custom bait maker. I think they're afraid that, the prices are going to be higher. The quality is not going to be that great. Like, all these things probably would go through somebody's mind. Like, like when I first started doing the whole fishing thing, if somebody was like, yeah, man, I make baits and everything, I probably would have, passed them by, because you're like, well, I can just go over here and get this, or, this, that, or the other thing. And as years went by, it's like, I would sooner buy from a custom bait maker than from this big box store over here. Because with that custom bait maker, I can be like, I want this. I'm looking for this. If you can add this and this, the other thing, you can't call up some big.
You can't call up one of the big guys.
Like, hey man, can you do this? They're going to be like, and click.
Yeah. Not unless your name's KVD or Jacob Wheeler. You can't call him up and be like, hey, let's make a new color.
Exactly, right?
It's a lot different to be able to shake the hand of the person who made your bait.
Right.
Exactly.
You can walk in, like the guy who turned around on your crankbaits. He was able to look you in the eye, tell you he wanted them, and if he wanted anything changed, he can come back and say, hey, just a little tweak, if you wouldn't mind. Be like, great, sure, got it. Exactly. And then I think that's the beauty of this stuff, the custom side rather than the big box side.
Yeah, I always like to know that with a custom bait, I know that person has touched every single bait. Like,
yep.
You know what I mean? Like they've held it in their hand, and there's something different, quality. For coming from a manufacturing background, I know you can set machines up and expect quality standards, but they're not foolproof, and
right.
Neither is hold it in your hand, but at least somebody has actually touched that bait, looked at it, and put it in a pack, or actually painted it and knows everything about it. So I always like that about the custom bait side. Being able to know that, I don't know, it just helps me with my confidence level and being able to help. I like helping people. I would much rather give my money to somebody like you or one of the other custom guys than Zoom or whatever. They don't need that. They don't need my money. They got plenty.
Yeah.
So what part of the bait making process do you obsess over most?
Just slaying with these questions.
Good one.
Obsess over the most when I'm painting. It's taking my time to not scratch the paint. Like if I scratch the paint, I'm just like, oh, well, that's trash. And like I'm gonna start over because I got to redo all this. And that's one of the things I do obsess with is I want to make sure everything is good. So when I move on to the next step, I don't scratch anything. So that I think that's what I obsess over the most.
Yep. And I know the answer to this because I've seen you do it live. Have you ever scrapped a bait that took hours because it just wasn't right or you screwed something up?
Yes.
I may know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway.
I could probably go to your tackle box and find a few of those right now.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, because I know I did that when I was making baits kind of on the side of, anything that was screwed up that in my tackle box. And then my tackle box started getting fuller than everybody else's. So it's like, maybe I better let somebody else do this because I'm not very good at it.
Yeah,
that's personal.
Hanging right now that are going in the boat.
So, when you first started out, what mistakes did you make that cost you the most early on? Like when you first started making baits?
Would have to be working with the molds for pouring lead. I have wasted so many hooks and so many wire frames because I didn't preheat my mold if the mold was cold, right? I'm common physics and I didn't think of that. But once I learned that, hey, I might want to heat my mold up just a little bit so that way the lead doesn't solidify right off the bat, and I'm not wasting all this product. That right there was frustrating for me. I must have poured one day. I think I poured like 50, and I kept messing it up. I was like, "What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong?" So of course, I went on to the interwebs, and I typed in, this is what I'm doing. What am I doing wrong? And this individual was like, "Baby powder, bro." I was like, and I was watching this video. I was like, "Baby powder." And he took this baby powder and he just brushed it into the mold cavity, and he poured it perfect. I was like, "What?"
I've never heard of that.
And I tried it, and it works. I was like, "Yes." So yes, anybody out there, if you are pouring mold and it keeps doing all that, just baby powder that thing, man. A little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. Dust it. Gonna work every time.
Just dust that bad boy.
You like paint it on? You paint it on with a paintbrush, or do you just like?
Yeah.
That is interesting. I will have to remember that. I'll tell Dad that when he's pouring some lead, because I know he gets some incomplete ones sometimes.
Yeah, just put baby powder in like a little container, and then just take a little itty bitty cheap paintbrush and just dab it in there and just swizzle it around inside the cavity. Then it'll work every single time. I don't understand why, but it does.
Yeah, we don't need to understand why. We just need to know that it does.
Nope.
Science.
So other than that, is there any other lessons that you had to learn the hard way?
Yes. The correct air pressure when you're airbrushing. Too much air pressure could, well, I was getting splatter effect, and I'm like, why am I getting this? And then I had somebody tell me, lower your air pressure, and I lowered my air pressure, and it stopped. So that right there, learning how much air pressure for each type of bait or each type of paint for the bait that you're using, right? So each product, each company, they all spray differently. So knowing exactly where to spray, like how much PSI to use, was hard at first, and I was messing up a lot of baits. It's like, oh my goodness, I'll never get this right.
So once you start making baits, and I know this from personal experience, sometimes things can go from passion to being more like a job, where like, oh, I got to go paint another bait. So have you ever had to deal with any kind of burnout while you were doing this?
Yes, absolutely. I think it was like the second year into doing this. I've been doing this now almost 4 years, maybe 4.5 years. Yeah, I think in the second year of me doing this, I got burnt out. I mean, it was too repetitive, and just starting off and trying to get your name out there is hard enough. When you're down here doing the same thing and your baits aren't going anywhere, they're hanging on your wall, or they're chilling in your bin that you're taking to some show, and you're not selling anything, it starts to get tedious, and I burn out. And like, I walked away for I'd say like 3 months. Like I even walked away from fishing because I was just burnt out with it. I didn't find joy in it no more. So yeah, it happens.
It does. I mean, it's rare, but I do still every once in a while be like, I don't think I want to go fishing today. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
It's usually when you're sore from fishing so much the other days.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah,
No, I
my
mean,
shoulders hurt because I was burning a rattle trap over
Like,
6 inches of open water over eelgrass. Yeah.
No, I mean,
But do you think that's very common for a lot of bait makers themselves? Like, the amount of times that you can mess up on something so small, like jig heads, air bubbles and plastics and things like that. Is that something that Even some people might have launched a few pieces of equipment or, get mad enough to call it quits forever.
I mean, I would think so. I mean, walking away, like if something's not going right, just walk away for a minute, and research it and come back and be like, okay, I'm going to try it this way, see if it works.
Good. I was trying to segue into the question on how you combated
how did I combat
the burnout? Because I mean, obviously you're here on a podcast with us, telling everybody how awesome it is. You didn't burn out forever, so
no, I didn't.
What did you do to combat it?
I brought my butt right back down here, and I just went back at it. I was like, look, I need to get my mind right with this, and if me coming down here and looking at what I got and what I can create that is going to set myself apart from other bait companies or bait makers, that's what I need to do. So all I did is I reset where I wanted to go at that point. And it wasn't until I think it was like the first night that I came back down here after burnout, I was literally laying in bed and like it came to me like bam. And I was like, I got to write this down.
Yep.
And I did. And then I came down and I made it. And it was one of the baits I called staff duty bait. And from that bait came the runner bait. And then from that bait came, my football heads that have the tinsel in them. And I mean, it just started to spiral. And those baits right there, people kept buying and asking for. So if you burn out, reset yourself and try to create something that is unique to you. And if you can do that, the likelihood of you burning out again is slim.
Yeah. It's amazing how many times that happens though, when you're burnt out and then you step away for a while and then you come back and then just all of a sudden, boom, you have a direction. And, it can carry you a long way. I mean, it could happen again, but there's a lot of, it seems like a lot of times very good things come out after a period of self-reflection, that comes from a burnout kind of situation, where you can just step back, reset, think, and then move on.
Absolutely.
So it's where you
And
run
out
into the
comes
trouble
some of your greatest ideas.
Yeah, where you don't move on. That's when that's when it's bad.
And you really lose at that point. You let the burnout win there.
Yep.
It's like how do I move on? I don't want to. All right. Yeah, that's when you really lose. So I would like to see a lot more of these custom guys out here. How do they dodge that? And you answered that very well. So thank you very much.
Yep.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So how's your military background influenced how you approach building baits or building your business in general?
I would have to say, like, I have the mentality of it has to get done. Let's just go down here and do this. Let's get it done. And that, I mean, that's a pretty good question. How would it? I mean, because it's me, myself, and I. So if I like screw something up, I just go upstairs, look in the mirror, and be like, "I'm about to fire you." So, but no, it's. I guess you could say it's really wanting to know the ins and outs of everything that I'm doing. Like, how do I do it? What do I need to do it? And where do I find the information that I need to do it? That's, I think, how it relates to my military background. Because if I didn't understand something, there was a regulation out there that told me how to understand it. So I'd find the regulation, I'd read the regulation, and then I'd be like, okay, this is how I can implement this. That's the same way with doing a business. Is if this didn't work, what can I do to make it work? Who can I go to find out how to make it work? Where do I need to network to make it work? And networking is huge. If you can network, you are going to have all the help you're ever going to need. And
Right.
that's where I get it. You know, that's my mindset from, you know, the military to running a bait business.
Okay. It's a good answer. So you kind of, I'm sure that you've probably done a lot on the Y tube, you know, going and looking at that, but also you started you helped found the CTS, the Custom Tackle Syndicate. So that's a big pool to draw from, for having, you know, if you run into a problem, you just go to one of those guys and be, hey, has anybody ever had this problem? And chances are you're going to get an answer. So,
yeah. And all those, you know, those guys, I mean, great friends. They are great people. If you have a question, I mean, you just drop it in there, or, you know, come on live and just ask that question. And there's not a single individual in the Custom Tackle Syndicate that will shy you away, that will tell you that your question is a stupid question. No, they'll answer it. And you'll actually see some other bait makers, instead of, you know, having the camera facing them, you know, and not seeing what they're doing or stuff like that, you'll see the bait maker, you know, with the bait, if they're painting it, you know, if they're tying it, you'll see the bait maker and the bait. So if you have a question, that bait maker can be like, all right, this is how I do this, so try it like this next time.
right.
So yeah.
I always like people who are willing to share. Coming from a culinary background, I went to culinary school, and there's a lot of chefs that don't want you to know their recipes. Like, I can't give you this. This is secret. But when they die, that dies with them. I mean, nobody else knows it. So, and I think fishing is the same way. I've always went into fishing that way. You know, when if anybody wants to know anything, I'll tell them. I mean, I'll tell them exactly how I'm moving and exactly what I'm doing, because that's the only way the sport grows, is sharing what you know.
Right.
So.
And to come off of what you just said there, it's the product of your environment, really. So like when I was doing a lot of the tournaments on Lake of the Ozarks, you know, you couldn't ask anybody, you know, what were you using? You know, how were you using it? You know, what depth, you know, all this stuff. You couldn't ask anybody that, because they'd be like,
yeah. In a tournament setting, it's a little bit different. Maybe ask them after.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like asking them after, like at the weigh-in or something like that. I mean, it's already said and done. You know, you're not going to go back out there and catch the fish and bring it to the weigh-in. But they want to tell you, right? Yeah. And then I started to adopt that, because being a product of your environment, I'd have people ask me like, hey, you know, what were you using? A bait. Well, where did you get it? The Getting place. Yeah. You know, so, but now that I'm not in that environment, I'm like, yeah, man, I was using this color. Yeah. This is the depth, you know, so, and I see what you're saying. And, I wish a lot of people were like that, but they're not.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not. But the willingness to teach. Look at things, and yeah, I think it's I mean, that's a good point. It's like a teacher mindset. And you want to, I just like to see the sport grow. And if I can help that, great.
And being around him, to extend on this point, I don't want to hold any secrets to it, because the future generations out there, the younger kids that come up and ask me those questions at the local lake, I'm not going to just sit there and tell them how not to catch fish, because if I do that, they might not fish anymore. Yes. I'm not going to keep secrets just because I want to catch more fish than them.
Right. And I love when the younger generation comes up and they're asking me about certain baits and this, that, and the other thing. And just, what was it? Not this past weekend, the weekend before that, I had this jerk bait on the table. I mean, this thing was, I think it was like a fire tiger pattern jerk bait, I think. And he kept picking it up and kept looking at it. And his mom was like, no, we're not getting that. And, you know, we don't even know how to use that. But he just kept picking it up. Like he was drawn to this specific bait. And of course, you know, they got some of the baits, but then they walked away and everything. And I was like, you know what? I grabbed the bait. There was no hooks on it. So I grabbed the bait and I walked up to this lady and her kid and I handed it to the kid and I said, "Here you go, man. Here you go. You can have it." And like his face just lit up. And it's things like that if you can do that for the younger generation, it's going to help the sport and it's going to, help the custom bait community, because that right there is like the kid's like, well, I didn't go to some big company and be shot down. This guy.
I mean, that may stick with him for life. He may, he may be a custom tackle person for the rest of his life because this guy at this farmer's market, gave me one because I liked it, and
no matter what, he's gonna
do that. So
gonna remember that experience in you, no matter what. That's awesome.
So, we were talking about discipline and structure and how that helps you in your bait making. So, how much do you have to try and meld that with the creativity it takes to make the baits? I mean, do those ever fight, or do you just have both sides? And
like I have a guilty pleasure. All right, so I'm the guy that will look weird at a big store with my phone taking pictures of different baits, right? And I'll be like, all right, I like that, but I want to do it in this, right? So, and then I'll come back and I'll look at everything and I'll be like, all right, I can do this like this, and we're gonna see how it comes out, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't let one override the other. Like, I really love to be creative and I really love to try to push my abilities. Hence this one challenge I had to paint, right? So, so I had to push my abilities, and I think it came out successful. I like it. Other people liked it. So, yeah, I don't let one override the other.
Well, good.
So your creativity and discipline work in tandem, and that's what makes you who you are, and your style what it is.
So you started making baits. So did you immediately start making baits live on TikTok, or when did you start going live on TikTok, or what made you start going live on TikTok?
So first part. No, I didn't start going live on TikTok right away. I was doing a lot of my stuff over on FB. And I started to become stagnant over there. Like, I stopped getting followers and I couldn't figure it out. Like, I just couldn't figure it out. And then one night, I was like, what can I do to really get out there and get out of my comfort zone? Because I was trying to do lives over on the other platform, and one person, I would get one person to come in, then they leave, like nobody would watch it. So I was like, well, if nobody's watching it, then what's the point of doing this? And that's where I got with it. And then one night I was like, you know what, I'm just going to create a TikTok account and I'm going to go live. And the first live I did, I mean, to me, I thought it was a success. I mean, I thought it was great. I got a lot of views. I got a lot of this. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep going with TikTok. And as I kept going with TikTok, I started meeting a lot of great people, right? And it just kind of blew up from there. And yeah, I mean, that's why I don't do so much over on the other side. I stay here.
Right. So what makes a good live stream in your opinion?
Oh, be different. Be different. Sing, dance, do all the weird things, man. Just don't be a robot. This is a bait. This is how I make. Don't do that kind of stuff. Jump out of that comfort zone. Start doing weird things, and just to, be you, and then push it a little bit further. So if you're just like doing your thing, people are just gonna scroll on by. But if you're like singing and you're doing all these things, plus interacting. You need to interact. You need to be, you know, there are sometimes I'll just be going. Sometimes I'll just be going and I'll forget to look at the chat. You know, that's why you have moderators. But no, I mean, you gotta be you with a dash of weird. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And if you can
So
do that,
kind of push past the you into the you that, I mean, I think all of us have reservations on things that we wouldn't do in other places. You got to, I mean, not all the way in there. You don't want to go there, but
Right.
just a little bit into the uncomfortable. And you know, like dance. I mean, I would dance on camera, but I don't dance in person.
Y'all are just wild. I do this.
Yeah.
I do this anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I dance. I dance at the grocery store. Like, I'll grab one of my kids and we will start dancing. I'll sing. I almost started dancing with this old lady because she was like, "Yeah, I get it." Like, she was like so excited that I was dancing. I almost went and grabbed her, you know. But I was like, I don't want to catch some charges, so I won't do that.
I'm always the talk to everybody guy, especially when we're out.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yes,
that's me.
He is.
That's me. Talk to everybody. How you doing? Have a good day. And then he's just like, "What's up?"
Social butterfly, man. That's what you are. Hey, that's
But it
what I am,
works. It's awesome.
dude. Yeah.
So, aside from that, because I know a lot of people do that when they first come on. They're robotic, they're uncomfortable, and you can tell. So besides that, what's something that creators do wrong when they first start going live on TikTok, or when they're trying to grow?
Asking for gifts. Asking for subscribers. Asking for followers. Like, just like jumping into it like right off the rip. Like slow down. You know, just slow down. It'll come without you having to ask. Be grateful for what you get, but don't expect it. If you're going in there and you're expecting it, you're not going to get anywhere. I don't expect anything. Every live I do not expect people to give gifts or give likes. I don't expect it, you know, because it's just.
I mean, it's awesome when it happens, but yeah, you can't go into it expecting it. I completely agree with that. You know, I may be like, hey, you know, hit the follow button there. You know, if it comes up in conversation or whatever, but I'm not. Yeah, I completely agree with that view there. So, so I was on a live the other day, and I saw you teaching your daughter how to tie. So, what's that like for you? I mean, does teaching your daughter change how you think about lure making?
Yeah, it does. When she expressed interest to tie, I dropped everything I was doing. I think I was actually painting a glide bait. I was painting, I think the one that Ditch Pickle wanted. And she said that she wanted to tie. I was like, absolutely. So I stopped doing what I was doing, and I came over here and I got the vise out and I got everything out for her, and I was like, all right, let's do this. And she's like, well, where do I start? And I, like, step by step was showing her how to do it. And then I think by the third crappie bait that she did, she was on her own. You know, just asking like small questions, like, what do you think would go with this? And I was like, well, kiddo, you gotta think of it like this, you know, like wacky colors. Like, just put some oddball colors in it. She's like, I can do that. All right. And she did. And they sold. They sold. She goes, Dad, what do I do? What do I get? And I was like, kiddo, just sit there, stay calm. Handle it.
Let
good.
that heart chill out for a minute. It's okay.
We're good. She goes, but what? I was like, kiddo, I'll give you the money. You made them. It's yours. She's like, yeah. So, but to the second part of that question, I think for me, I think that if I could do a tying class for youth, with over at the county building or whatever, I mean, that would be amazing to get all these kids together to learn how to do this, because this, to me, tying isn't something that somebody just wants to do. It's something that somebody does for them to use to go fishing or to sell or whatever. So I just think that tying can be one therapeutic for sure. It can be therapeutic. So but yeah, I think that's what I want to try to do eventually. I think I'll get there eventually, is start to do a class for whoever wants to learn how to tie. So
That's amazing. Yeah. So what does it mean to you to pass something like this down?
Oh man, it just means it's amazing, because as she gets older and she starts doing it, she'll go off and have her own family and stuff like that. She'll be able to, like, look, she has kids and stuff. Look, your grandfather taught me how to do this, and I want to teach you. So it's like, it's just that knowledge that she's going to be able to pass down is to me is amazing. And just to know that young tyer right there learned from their mother, who learned from me, so that's a good feeling.
Yeah. And going back to the question before, where, do you feel better about fishing, or do you feel better about watching people catch fish on your baits? It's even better to watch your kid catch a fish on a bait that they made. I mean,
Yes.
that's even higher than either of those two. So, yeah, I agree with that too. So, and I don't make baits on your level. I make a few here and there. Not very good at it. I still catch fish, but
Better than me, man.
I don't sell them.
Better than me.
Yeah, I would much rather just do what I do and help you guys out that way than try to be a competitor, because there's no competition.
Yeah, I've only tied a couple in my life, and they were that big.
Yeah,
They
were some funky looking things,
and
but they still
were
caught fish.
funky.
They still caught fish.
I wasn't very good at it, but it was fun.
Yesterday.
So I saw you've been doing some inline buzzbaits recently. So is that going back to your tying roots, or is that something new you're working on?
One, it's something new, but it's also going back to the tying roots. Because I was painting there for so long that when I decided to start doing the inlines, I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot what I needed to do to even get it started. So, I mean, it's not like riding a bicycle for some people. It's like, now I got to take my time to figure it out again. But yeah, I think it's a good thing to get back to tying and getting back into the tying roots. So that way you don't lose that skill, because sometimes you're like, oh, I forgot how to do this, So.
Right. So what do you want people to think of when they hear Enlisted 7 custom baits?
I want them to think quality. I want them to think unique and approachable. That's what I want people to think. Do I guarantee anybody that you'll catch a fish on my stuff? No.
Nobody can guarantee that.
I can't guarantee that.
Yeah, if anybody ever did that, they would be a gazillionaire. And
right.
There's no, if there was only one bait that worked, there would only be one bait. So,
right. Right. But yeah, I think that's what it is. I want to be approachable to people. I want somebody, if something does ever happen to the bait, reach back out to me. I will either replace it for free or send it to me. I'll repair it for free, no charge. It's those kinds of things that I want people to think when they hear Enlisted custom baits.
Okay. So, quick reminder for everybody joining in. This is a recording for the Custom Tackle podcast presented by Custom Tackle Authority and LIVEwell Nation. Keep sending questions in the chat. LIVEwell Nation is moderating for us, and we're getting ready to get into the audience questions here in just a couple minutes. So, actually, no. We're getting into the audience questions right now because
that'd be right now.
Yeah. You answered the last question that I had in the question before. So,
Waiting.
Joe, our incredible moderator up there, and TK, I think, has been some moderating as well. We will take some questions now for Enlisted 7.
There really hasn't been any questions. They've been talking amongst themselves.
That's fine.
They understood the assignment.
One did
you know
say.
I was going to get into this. What is your favorite pattern to tie or pattern to do?
Oh, my favorite and always will be is painting shad pattern. I love to paint shad patterns.
And you know what? I don't care where you go in the country. I don't know about the world. Never been out, but shad are everywhere. Me and Ditch Pickle were at Kentucky Lake last week. We caught zero fish on anything crawl color. None. I threw them.
Very minimal fish on anything bluegill color.
Yeah, everything was shad color. So, I mean, if you're going to focus on something, it's a great thing to focus on. So, Big Muddy Fishing asks, what is your favorite bait to make and why?
Favorite bait to make is square bills. The reason being is I can get very creative with how I want it to look. When somebody gives me some colors, I absolutely love to create something that one's gonna, make them happy and just blow their mind with it. So I would have to say square bills.
Point taken.
TK was asking about mechanical issues. What is your worst mechanical issue that you deal with? And what would you tell a person coming up? Is there something that you can tell them to maybe not have those mechanical issues that you have had?
Yes. So, airbrush issues. Sometimes if you forget to clean them, they will clog up very quick. Not cleaning them properly, not doing everything you need to do to maintain the airbrush can cause severe issues. So my advice to anybody that is getting into airbrushing: 1, clean it and take it apart, and if you got to soak it in some cleaning solution for an airbrush overnight, then that's what you need to do. Don't get upset if you forget to do that the night before and you're down there wanting to get some painting. I mean, just know that you can clean it, but it makes it a lot easier if you just take it all apart overnight, and that way paint's not sitting in there and getting all clogged up.
All right. Fin Hunter Tackle asks, what's an underrated color pattern more people should be using?
Ooh.
It's a good question, Fin Hunter.
That is a very good question. Underrated? Perch.
Perch?
Perch.
I believe perch is an underrated color pattern. I truly do. Everybody's focused on crawls or shads, stuff like that. But I've caught some good fish on perch. But I never see perch patterns moving off the shelves or even on my table they'll look at it, they'll bypass it, and they'll go right for something else. It's more of a familiar. Like, I'm more familiar with this pattern, this color scheme. I'm not familiar with perch. So I think perch to me is a very underrated color pattern.
How would you say
that's
that
it.
even for like lakes that don't have perch predominantly, like, because I know I'm gonna be the perch look like bluegill. They're just brighter bluegill.
You know, especially on, I feel like on crankbaits, it doesn't necessarily, because they're moving. I mean, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be. I think it's more like a perch pattern is generally less bright. It's more like a muted color. So you don't have the reflection of it like a shad pattern. And then it's not red like a crawl pattern. It's just a good natural looking kind of muted color, and it does well. But I mean, to your point, I mean, how many ponds have we ever been to that have shad in them, but a shad pattern still works? You know, I think that some of that, it almost has to be ingrained in their heads. They have to know that is food.
Yeah.
So bass whacker lures, how often should you deep clean your gun?
I mean, that's a pretty good question. I would say really depending on how much you really use it. For me, I'll deep clean mine at least twice a week. Right now, mine's sitting out. It's taken apart. I cleaned it, I deep cleaned it, and now it's sitting there ready to go for when I'm going to start painting again. So to me, I think it is based on how often you're painting. If you're painting a lot, probably a deep clean maybe every 2 days, really, in between regular cleanings. But if you're just like a every once in a while kind of cleaner, then I mean, if you know you're going to be not going to paint for a while after painting, I would just do the deep clean process after you're done.
Okay. Have you ever used a sonic jewelry cleaner and run it a couple times a week? Big Muddy Fishing put that in that I had not thought of that. I have a sonic jewelry cleaner, and I have never thought of putting actually, let me rephrase that. My wife has a sonic jewelry cleaner that I could steal and use that as long as she didn't know about it.
So you can commandeer that secretly.
So no, I actually saw their video of them doing that, and I thought, wow, that's an amazing idea. I need to get one. So, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to close out here. This is my last question for Matt, Mr. Enlisted 7 Custom Baits. So if somebody's listening right now and wants to start building but doubts themselves, what would be your best advice to them?
Get into a group, like Custom Tackle Syndicate. Find them on TikTok and just start asking questions on how can you do this. Like, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you think it'll work? Don't think that anybody's going to shy you away. Don't feel as if you're going to be in competition with everybody else. That's not what it's about. Just ask questions, because I was told this a long time ago by a leader of mine when I was a young wee private. Closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't ask the questions, you're not going to get the knowledge. You're not going to get the answers you're looking for. But don't feel as if you're not going to be successful, right? Because everybody has to start somewhere. Is your first bait going to be the greatest? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe a prodigy. Who knows? But don't doubt yourself. Build up from where you are and start asking questions and get everything going.
All right. Yep. And Rainbow Custom Lures down there said the competition is friendly. Most love seeing people's artistic style, and that is, from what I've seen, that is very true, especially in the Custom Tackle Syndicate people. And it's a great answer. So Matt, Enlisted 7, I appreciate you coming out, brother. Had a great time. And for everybody listening or watching live, thank you for being here. This is the very first episode of the Custom Tackle Podcast. And it is actually, Enlisted 7 doesn't know this, but this is kind of special for me because when I had walked away from TikTok for a while, okay? And when I decided to do Custom Tackle Authority again, because I built it a long time ago, we discussed that. So when I started it again, I came to TikTok, and you were the very first person that I saw on a live, and you were the very first person I interacted with on TikTok to get on this. So thank you for that. It's led to meeting a lot of people. So
the catalyst of all this.
Support custom, support community, and keep casting.